did you do as a child? Because yes, I'm curious, girl, what did you do? Hello and welcome. Guys, I'm still alive. Oh my God. I have been and I'm still sick for quite literally the past 2 months. It's not making me stop making videos now. Obviously, I sound a lot better. I actually did a round of antibiotics. Then I got sick again. Apparently, everything is going around, and honestly, I am getting the same kind of feelings I was getting back December 2019. Well, for one thing, I got a mystery respiratory infection, and then a few months later, we all went on a 2-week lockdown. 2 weeks. It was only 2 weeks, guys. 2-week lockdown. Get the feeling that's gonna happen again. So I am going to continue doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna continue posting and making content, obviously reading some Reddit stories as well as some other stories and different stuff. So if that's something that you're interested in, please make sure to hit that follow button, or I guess the subscribe button. If you could please subscribe to me here. And also you can subscribe to me on Instagram and other social media. I post content there that's a little interesting, a little different. And we're gonna get into this today. One of the stories that I'm gonna be actually starting off with today, not only is it 2 years old, but it is also recently updated just the other day. So I've been wanting to do an older story, and the fact that this is 2 years old and it literally just got updated the other day, I'm ecstatic. So I have enough time of, more comments, more info has been put by OP, but let me get this started. Am I the a-hole for wanting people to wear white at my wedding? So I'm 24 female, having a hard time seeing where I went wrong. But me and my husband-to-be, 26 male, both struggle with NPD, so I figured an outside opinion might be helpful, since neither of us tend to understand when we're wrong or right. If you don't know what NPD is, that I think is narcissistic personality disorder, which is interesting. I've never really known two narcissists to be together. That is an interesting one. I'm getting married, in December to the absolute love of my life. And we both want it to be the most spectacular wedding the world has ever seen, because we both really love attention. Very narcissistic of you. I never used to feel comfortable admitting that, but ever since I've been with him, I've been able to really accept that, and it's made my life so much more fun. We decided that instead of having me in a white dress like all the other white dresses, and him in the same tuxedo as every man in attendance, it would look really spectacular if we both dressed head to toe in gold. What we want is for all our guests to wear either black, white, or gray, and for us to be the only ones wearing color. I figured that not only would I look like a princess, but I'd also be dancing with a prince instead of just some guy. And he's so into the idea, he remembers it as being his. He just loves the idea of sea of monochrome and then us in the middle of it all. The only thing is, my sister, 26 female, has been absolutely furious at us ever since the clothing requirements came out. First, she said there was proof that I never changed and I was being controlling again. It's your wedding, anyway. Basically, that asking guests to wear a specific color was insane. Then she started making digs about my hair and how I was just doing this to show off, and asked if I planned to have her dye her hair too. I did not. We're both blonde, but mine is a bit more yellow blonde, and my husband is dyeing his hair for the wedding. I admitted to that, but also pointed out that it's my wedding and it's normal. Then she accused me of trying to upstage everyone else's wedding dress, basically implying that I was trying to get everyone to show up in wedding dresses so I could compete with them and make myself look even better by comparison. This was not ever the plan. When I mentioned what she said to my husband-to-be, his eyes kind of lit up in this really cute way, and he said we should encourage people to actually wear their own wedding clothes. But we decided it would probably be actually terrible of us. We decided to let our families wear copper if they wanted, so they would stand out as a nice accent to gold. And then my sister would also get to stand out. I was totally willing to pay and said as much. That was when she called me a spoiled child and said she wasn't like me and wasn't in this for herself and wanted all the guests to be able to wear normal wedding clothes, and that nobody in their right mind would be comfortable wearing white to a wedding. TLDR, I want all my guests to wear black, white, or gray to my wedding, and my husband and I to wear gold. My sister thinks this is horrible, and I'm making everyone feel uncomfortable. Am I the a-hole? Now, I have a lot of opinions about this, and honestly, not bad ones, actually pretty good ones. So I got married last year. Wait, was it last year? No, it was the year before. Oh my God, we're in a new year. Okay. I got married Friday the 13th, 2023. And one of the ideas that I actually had was, for one thing, I did think about wearing a gold wedding dress for myself, or a wedding dress, just due to like what the color means, and you know, of course, standing out, that kind of thing. Of course, it's my wedding, I'm allowed to stand out. But my husband had always dreamed of a white wedding dress, which I said he could wear it. But I digress. I made my wedding dress, thank you very much. I was beautiful. But anyway, I also had the idea of everyone wearing white to the wedding, and then we would be the only ones wearing color. And I feel like when it comes to your wedding, as long as you are not making people uncomfortable, especially when it comes to religion, sexuality, and more like, you know, kind of like exposing a lot, you know what I mean? And I don't mean just cleavage. I mean like, you know, I feel like it's your right to kind of create the vibe, create the theme that you want, because essentially a wedding is a performance of your story for everyone else that is there. And, you know, it's a little bit funny of both of you guys being, having narcissistic personality disorder and wanting to stand out, which is like, that's fitting. But I really think that your sister probably needs to get checked out herself, because I don't know, it's giving a little bit selfish to be like, you're gonna make everyone feel uncomfortable. And like, I grew up, well, for one thing, I think either my mother is a narcissist or she is a undiagnosed person with autism or ADHD that has then manifested into narcissistic like tendencies. Whichever, you know, but it kind of gives off the same feeling that I would kind of get from that energy, and a little bit of like even my own siblings' energies at times, of especially trying to manipulate by saying you're gonna make everyone uncomfortable, you haven't even changed, which I'm kind of curious to your past, and I should probably have looked through your history to see if you've ever talked about your past very much. But I will go to the comments of this one. Of course, this one is from 2 years ago, and it is closed. So I'm going to go to the comments and I'm going to read a few off. But generally I will say not the a-hole, and this post also ended up with it being also saying not the a-hole as well. So let me look at here. Stroke King says, not the a-hole. You are having a hard time seeing where you have gone wrong because you haven't gone wrong. And TBH, your dress code is hardly a great burden. Men almost always have a black suit or gray suit somewhere. And whilst I'm no expert, I would imagine most women already have some clothes of one of those colors. It's not like you're demanding the men to come in white tie with top hat and the women all come in wedding dresses. There was one thing she is right about. It is generally considered very bad form for a woman to wear white to a wedding, but not if you have asked them to do it. LOL. So yeah, definitely agree with that right there. Like, of course, yes, of course, going to a wedding and wearing white is seen as a little crass. It is definitely seen as, you know, a little uncouth. But generally, if the bride says, hey, I want every woman to wear white, that is my dress code, then you wear white. That's what's being requested. That's what's on the invitation. And if you don't follow that rule and be like, oh, I don't feel comfortable with that, you're kind of the one that's being the a-hole in that situation. And not only that, but she did also give the option of you being able to wear copper, which copper is damn near to gold. And honestly, just thinking about it, like that honestly looks really cool. Even if you were to do a really cool effect of the Smallville effect and you only had all of the dresses, like you made everything like actually black and white, and you only made the people and the dresses that were like gold and copper to like stand out more. I mean, you could theoretically do that if the crowd was wearing any other color as well, but honestly, it just is kind of like a Smallville effect in real life. And I think that's really cool. Everyone has a white dress, I feel like. Everyone has a black dress. Gray is a kind of weird one, but I feel like most men I know, yes, they have black and gray suits. So I don't really see what the problem is. And even then, you could just wear black slack pants and a white shirt, and that works out perfectly fine as well. Now, OP in this says, I have to admit, if that were to happen, I would love, 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 but no, I would never actually ask for that, LOL. I actually remember a Reddit story from a while back where someone did that in order to make their mother-in-law mad because she was gonna come to the wedding in a white dress, which maybe in the future, if you guys are interested, I might read that for you. You never know, you never know. All right, the same person who had this comment that OP commented on actually mentioned that same exact story that I just mentioned a moment ago. So I'm glad we're on the same wavelength. All right, we're on the same wavelength. All right, I'm gonna read another comment from here as well. This one is from Sprinkle Muffin. Not the a-hole. Plenty of weddings have dress codes. Nothing new. If she doesn't want to follow the dress code, she doesn't have to. I mean, yeah. And OP says, that's what I was thinking. And it's not like I chose some crazy color scheme. Black, white, and gray are like the most basic colors. Yep, exactly. Generally, everyone, of course, said not the a-hole, not the a-hole. And the consensus on this was not the a-hole. And I have to agree. I really wish that I could see some photos from OP's wedding. That would have been so cool. But I generally think you are not the a-hole for wanting that type of dress code at your wedding. I mean, if your dress code was, I want everyone to wear neon colors, then that's fine too. Like, all that matters is that you are not making people too uncomfortable. Again, like, either being like everyone gotta come in a party dress, in a nightclub dress, okay? Like that, or anything like, you're fine. You're fine. Anyway, we're gonna move on to the long-awaited update. So that post originally was from 2 years ago, and this update is from 2 days ago. I love updates. I'm so glad this is my first update here on the channel. All right, let's get into it. Update. My husband and I just recently celebrated our first anniversary, and I was thinking about all the dress code drama when I remembered this account and thought it would be fun to give y'all a little 1-year update. Thank you, ma'am. After I made my original post, my husband and I decided to contact my sister and parents and have a sit-down discussion about the situation. He offered to take everyone out to eat, and we had this really long discussion about my sister and my relationship. My sister said she made a promise to herself never to let that happen again, and that if I wanted her in my life, I needed to be a normal person. My husband told her that if she was going to keep humiliating me for something I did as a child, then she wasn't a normal person either. It became a bit chaotic. My dad took our side and said my sister's taking things too far. My mom took my sister's side and said that since I have narcissistic personality disorder, I'm not capable of real change. And if they ever give in at all, they'll be hurting my sister. It ended with my sister calling my father an enabler and threatening to cut him off. It wasn't a great dinner overall. What surprised me is my sister's husband. She called me the next day at his recommendation, and we talked for a long time. She told me that she doesn't want to feel like a side character in the My Name show, and that was how it was for all our childhoods. I told her that I feel like I'm not allowed to have meaningful relationships with any of our family since she restricts what I say and do and wear around them. I pointed out that she controls my clothes for every family event, and this is my wedding, and she admitted that was a good point. Eventually, she agreed to attend the wedding in a really cute black and white checkered dress and leave if it became too much. The wedding itself was incredible. It was the second best day of my life so far, and my sister said she was genuinely happy for me. I felt like a princess in a fairy tale the whole day, and my husband was the handsomest prince in the universe. The whole thing was under the stars. It was perfect. I could talk about it forever, but character limits. As a wedding gift, my sister told me that she was going to start letting me wear what I like at family gatherings and talk about my accomplishments and talk about myself when it's just me and her a little. And she has, and it's been great. The only better gift I got that night was my husband himself. This past year has been the best of my life, and I genuinely feel so much better about life and family these days. I'm a girl mom now, and I'm so glad my daughter gets to know her aunt and cousins too. I'm even allowed to babysit for my sisters sometimes. TLDR, everything really worked out. And it was a lot because this place helped me have confidence that I wasn't wrong. Thank you guys so much and have a great new year. Oh my. So honestly, a very, very interesting story. Real quick, I kind of am so curious about what she did in the past to the point that like they had a falling out. So give me 1 second. So the only comment that I could find something about childhood involved was a comment from Miss Kitty in the original post was, not the a-hole if the dress code is your only request for your guest. I don't see any problem here. You asked only for a specific color. You didn't ask for a specific style nor specific hairstyle, hair color, or makeup. From your post and your comment, it seems your sister is jealous and fear that your wedding would be more loved than hers. Also, you are so kind to want her at your wedding when she didn't invite you to hers. Oh, I didn't realize that, but I guess that was in there. Can I ask why you had been excluded from her wedding? Okay, here we go. All right, so OP says, ever since I was 16, she hasn't wanted me at any events focused on her. She asked me to stay home for her high school graduation, all her birthdays, her college graduation, and I couldn't meet her child until a week after either. We sometimes celebrate alone, but when we were growing up, I would do something to grab attention pretty often at basically any event I was invited to. I've done a lot of growing up since then and apologized a bunch of times, but she still doesn't trust me. And then of course the person says, I see where your sister's coming from, which I'm still, again, I'm very curious in knowing a little bit more about the childhood and, you know, more of kind of what you did, OP, because what did you do to get your sister this pissed off? Girl, what do you mean in your childhood? What did you do? But I guess you were diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, and obviously if you actually do have a true diagnosis of that, which, by the way, guys, narcissistic personality disorder is not something that is very common. You can have narcissistic traits, but a true narcissistic personality disorder diagnosis, like an actual one, is not quite common. Again, I mentioned earlier of being neurodivergent and being untreated and it manifesting narcissistic like tendencies, which is quite common. But definitely I do believe that if, you know, OP was dealing with narcissistic personality disorder growing up and, you know, manifest that and how it manifests, and especially grabbing attention from her sister from a young age, I do definitely understand and see where the sister's coming from and having a little bit of resentment when it comes to OP stealing her thunder. And I get it definitely probably as a trigger for her sister's wedding of like, we want to be the only one wearing color, and it's just like a little bit of a bringing up that trauma of from her when she was younger and she was trying to have certain special events and OP essentially taking that thunder. This is probably the one time ever that OP is going to be allowed to have that thunder, and especially if she's not doing some of that bridezilla stuff that we tend to see, especially on Not the A-Hole or on Wedding Horror Story kind of stuff. She's actually doing pretty good. And yes, it is a little bit true of what the mother said, that when you are a narcissist, you can't fully, truly actually recover from that. But the thing is, and the biggest problem with, and this is where this comes from, okay? It's not that a narcissist cannot do work on themselves. They have the possibility to do that. The biggest issue is the acknowledgement of being narcissistic and that it is a problem. That is where that especially comes from. And especially with narcissistic personality being such a rare diagnosis, you're going to have an even smaller, tinier pool of people that are going to want to make that change and that will put the effort into making that change. Because what do you mean? Like, why do you have to be bad? It's not your fault that you love yourself. Look, I sound like my mother now. Now, I see another comment that has to do with, again, the childhood, and I have a little bit more from OP, so I'm just gonna read this thread. Grimm's Church says, what did you do as a child? Because yes, I'm curious, girl, what did you do? I've just read through her post and comment history, and as someone who is neurodivergent and has family that is neurodivergent in different ways, mostly autism, I can see why having some rules around social interactions may have been necessary for a while. I'm glad your wedding turned out lovely and your relationship with your family has improved. Well done. Your hard work being a better sister and daughter has started to pay off. I agree with that. And yes, I myself am autistic. I don't think I have ADHD. My husband has ADHD. I think he has a little bit of the tisms, but I definitely do understand the whole like needing to have rules. And sometimes, like for me especially, I am so tired of rules. I don't want rules anymore because I have been ruled by rules that nobody follows. Like, why do we have rules if they're not meant to be followed? But then again, I've never broken the law, so maybe that helps me out a little bit, you know. OP says, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been really incredible. My mom even came to see a musical I was in this year, which is the first time she's done that since I was 16. Oh, that's really nice. And also, ooh, I mean, that is a better, of the relationship. Another person says, but what did you do as a kid? Yes, OP, what did you do to your sister as a kid? Tell us. Okay. OP said, I did a lot of things. On one of my sister's birthday, I performed a song I wrote as a gift because I got the idea from a TV show. I used to take over every family gathering with a play I wrote and make the other kids act in it. I would always be talking about myself and accomplishments, my goals, and not give her the chance to talk about herself. I see another comment underneath the post that generally is saying, whatever you did as a child, your sister controlling your outfit around family is wildly out of line. Generally, I see a lot of comments from people basically saying that they see what I was saying earlier of how OP's sister was probably triggered by, the whole, outfit thing, especially when you used to try to put on your plays and your performances and, take over events that weren't about you and talk more about yourself than your sister. So she definitely was probably triggered by that. But generally, from looking at the comments, and especially 2 years going by, knowing that before in the previous post you had said that you had been doing therapy beforehand, obviously I get the feeling that you have been probably doing therapy since then as well. So another, let's say hypothetically 3 years, 4 years of therapy, and you're continuing it. And it's very nice to see, even from the comments, that your relationship with your family, your mother, your family members in general has gotten better. And not only that, but that the relationship between you and your sister has actually been able to grow, foster, and get a little bit healthier as well. Now, OP, unfortunately, I will be stalking you in your profile because that is what I do. But I want to, if you are watching this right now, for one thing, thank you. And I wish I could see photos of your wedding and your wedding dress. I'll show you mine. Here it is. Here's a little bit. Thank you very much. But I hope you continue doing all of that good work on yourself. I did say earlier that I was thinking about having another story that I was going to talk about, but so far in the runtime of the video footage, I'm about at 25 minutes, and I'm going to have to edit this down. So to save myself a little bit of heartache, I am going to end the video here. My next video will probably be a wedding video or a family video again. But let me know in the comment section what you would be interested in, and I might also make the video a little bit longer as well. So I would love to know what stories you would like to hear. If you want to comment them down below. We are not only limited to Am I the A-hole? If there's any other Reddits that you would like for me to read, as well as just stories in general, if you are someone who writes stories, I want to start doing a little bit more narration as well, due to, I feel like there's a very big problem of illiteracy and people being illiterate. I myself am a person who like to listen to a lot of audiobooks due to my dyslexia and a little bit of issues that I have with reading. I didn't even learn how to fully read until the age of 12, and I kind of had to teach myself. I can obviously read. I read these Reddit stories, and then I listen to my audiobooks because, you know, I'm like, hey, that's a fair trade-off. And then you get to listen to the Reddit stories and hopefully maybe also read some books and listen to some audiobooks as well. So if there's any other stories out there that you would like for me to read, again, whether it's been written by someone fictional, anything like that, I always love horror and scary stories. I might actually read a little bit more of those during January because I feel like January is the horror movie season normally. And in the next video, you'll probably see me in the same outfit because I'm gonna film in the same day. I just want to cut this video short. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I hope you guys had a lovely time in Tokyo. Oh, I never welcomed you to Tokyo. Well, welcome to Tokyo. I am Tokyo, and goodbye.